We know what number one is.
Oh,
but
we know what number one is.
They did not release. They are not releasing the rest of the top 5 until tomorrow.
Okay.
So I'm just have a parentheses there saying like, that the holiday is kept.
Holidays.
The rest of the 5. So.
Yes.
Yeah, I know. Because we record on Wednesdays, we miss Billboard on holiday weekends because they go up on Thursdays.
Yes, because we specifically record
on
Wednesdays.
Wait,
nope. Okay, who's sweet? Who's sweet? I don't know. It said we were live.
Yes, I know. I just got an email. Because that happens now.
Yeah. That always happens, right?
It's happened. Starting last week.
That's weird that it's like specifically the update.
Like I said last week, I think it's something that YouTube changed.
YouTube can change it all day long, but dun dun dun.
Oh, and all my Macy stuff is shipped. The shoes.
Mine is shipped as well.
And the belt.
Mine is shipped as well.
I had to pull the trigger on the belt. I was just gonna get the shirt and then do the belt later, but the shirt by itself doesn't qualify for free shipping, so I was like, screw it, and I just bought the belt too.
Okay.
At full price.
Oh, you didn't go in store?
No. I didn't have time. I had a busy weekend.
It's not like you drove by Macy's at any point.
No, and nor did I have time to go in one. No, I literally had to order it from Christie's apartment because I needed to get... she has measuring tape, so I needed to figure out what my measure.
You were able to figure out your size?
I was able to ballpark it. Unfortunately, we couldn't figure out how you're supposed to measure the sleeves.
From here out.
Yeah, she tried everything, and all the sleeve lengths, all the inches that were on the actual website were longer than what. Okay,
well, you're going to be wearing a jacket, so...
Right.
Figure that into it.
Well, we went by the neck size.
That's
so
probably the best thing to do.
It's just, it's like we were super confused because everything was in the 30s. I wasn't even close to being in the 30 inches range when we did it.
Like the arms. Alright, we ready to start here?
Yes.
Alright, hey Internet, we're ready to start. Wait, we should probably, Yeah, we should probably get going now.
Hey, hi, we're recording.
Yeah, we are.
Hello, welcome to the Media Boat Podcast. It's Wednesday, so you know what that means. It's the Media Boat Podcast.
Because it's Wednesday, and you know what that means?
Yeah, it's the Media Boat Podcast. I'm repeating it so that way it gets ingrained in your memory, so you remember us.
Yes, that on Wednesdays you need to watch Media Boat Podcast.
However, if you don't know what the Media Boat Podcast is, here's an explanation. We are a podcast about movies, television, video games, and music. Not in that order, but
not
some
necessarily
order of those things. Today is September the 4th. It is officially September 2019. This is episode 190.
We've hit it.
Big
we
190.
hit the 190.
So only 10 away from the magic 200. We'll get there when we get there, though. But yeah, this is Matt speaking. That's my name. I'm Matt. He's Mike.
I'm Mike. He's Matt.
Yeah.
And if you've been following us, we've been leading up to this episode for a while now.
Kind of.
Well, we've been leading up to every episode for a while now.
Yeah, we always lead up to the episodes. But let's get this episode on the boards here and start it with the movies. Because we always start with the movies. Starting with the weekend box office number.
Alright. So we had a long weekend. We had a 4-day weekend this past Labor Day weekend.
Happy Labor Day, everybody. And yeah, your big hero of the long weekend was the same one as last week. No, neither of the new premieres over this Labor Day weekend were caught fire at the box office. So thus, we have a repeat at number 1. Angel Has Fallen is your number 1 movie again this week. Another $15 million, adding to its $40 million total.
Yep. Makes sense. I mean, there was no new release.
Yeah.
This was obviously going to be the holdover.
Yeah.
Movie studios just don't put out movies in
Labor Day is not a big movie weekend, apparently. No. Good Boys is your number 2 movie, coming in with $12 million to add to a $56 million total. Number 3, The Lion King, with another $9 million, adding to, do I even need to tell you, $521 million domestic, which is
Boom, boom,
stupid
boom.
big. Number 4, Hobbs and Shaw, with another $8 million. That's at 157. And Ready or Not, at number 5, which is ready for another $7 million added to its $20 million domestic total.
Which is a bona fide hit, as that thing only cost $6 million to make.
Yes, so it turns out. Keep your movies cheap and you have a better chance of making this money. Upcoming this week, finally, you've been waiting for it if you're a horror fan.
All right.
The sequel to It, the big surprise hit from the last year.
Yep.
It, Chapter 2, is out this weekend, so go check that out if that's something you've been looking forward to.
And you don't want to do an It bit?
No.
No.
I'm tired.
You're tired?
I'm hungry. I don't have it in me.
All right.
Frustrated with life, you know. So
As
yeah,
you
that's
are.
it for the new releases. Which means, did you see any movies this week that you want to talk about?
I did not see any new movies this week. However, I will be checking out It. It has been on my radar for some time now since I saw It, I guess, Chapter 1, we have to call it.
Yes.
At the beginning.
Yes, yeah. It 2018.
Yeah, 8/28/17.
Yeah.
18?
2018. You said last year, right?
I think it was last year.
Last year was 2018.
Last
This is 2019.
Was it last year or was it 2 years
Yeah,
ago?
I think it was last year. I'm pretty sure.
Either way, I want to go see it.
Either
Again.
way. Yes. We both saw a movie, but it was a television movie, so we're going to talk
That's
about
a TV
that
movie.
in TV. I'm
Yeah.
just letting the audience know, in case you're wondering why we're not talking about it yet. We'll get there. All right. Anything else with movies before we move on to movie news?
Let's get into some movie news. No
Okay.
other box office information here.
Well, speaking of it, it was, of course, based on the novel by Stephen King, and Stephen King himself is making some moves, helping some people, namely students, make some amateur movies.
You know, Stephen King's a pretty good writer, I believe.
A lot of people like Stephen King. A lot of people are big fans of
I think he's got quite a few stories in
He
him.
does. He has so many stories that he's practically giving them away.
What?
The prolific writer is having a, quote, garage sale of sorts. For the low, low price of $1, you can own one of his stories. These dollar babies, as he's calling them, are not under contract for movies as it stands as of this moment.
Mhm.
So that means they're available for people like, I don't know, film students,
Yep.
like what we once were, who want
Still
to try
am.
their hands at making a movie based on a Stephen King story. You can request the rights to create your own film and choose one of 25 titles currently available for adaptation. All you have to do is go to stephenking.com/dollarbabies for more info and the current list of what titles are available for you.
However, don't do that quite yet
Okay.
because the internet got a hold of this
Oh, yeah.
and hugged it to death.
I bet.
Yep, the website was running slow, and at the very bottom they had to put a little asterisk saying, currently all of these titles are under bid. We will be reviewing every single one and issuing them out. We will have a new list in December of 2019.
Yeah. So this is an auction format, so it starts at $1, but it could be way, way more by the time this is over.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So don't think that this is just going to be like, oh, I'm going to show up and get $1
Like, get a Stephen,
and get a Stephen King story to adapt. No.
No.
Not how this is going to work. Expect to pay a lot more than that.
well, they're film studios, so he's going to make sure they're kept low. But you do have to fill out a bunch of forms and
Oh,
basically,
yeah.
sign, yes, this is for student projects, so probably non-profit.
Not-for-profit, yeah.
Not-for-profit.
So yeah, if you're a film student right now, maybe check it out in a couple days and see what's going on with that if you want to adapt one of the stories.
But hey, $1 for a Stephen King script?
Not bad at all.
Or a
Get you
story?
notice. That would definitely get some eyes on your script for sure.
Yep.
All right, let's move on. Our second story is also about an auction of sorts, except this time it's a movie prop auction. Auction. Prop auction.
Prop auction.
It's hard to say.
Some of our favorite prop auctions. 900
movie props are going for sale at London's BFI IMAX. The Stormtrooper helmet from Star Wars: A New Hope is among the headlining items, and it's looking to go for $145,000 to $218,000
For a helmet.
for a helmet, as well as Samuel L. Jackson's lightsaber from Revenge of the Sith, which is expected to reach $130,000. Other top items include Michael Keaton's complete bat suit,
From
That's fine.
Batman.
Batman.
From Batman.
Batman.
There's no...
The movie titled Batman.
Yeah, there's no Sir Donald in that.
Or
It's just
Batman
Batman.
89, if you will.
Batman 1989.
Yes. The Holy Hand Grenade from Monty Python's Holy Grail.
Mm-hmm.
James Bond's pistol from, I guess, a Bond movie.
That it'll be GoldenEye, I believe. Pierce
GoldenEye.
Brosnan's
Pierce Brosnan.
GoldenEye pistol.
PP7, probably. I played the Nintendo 64 game. I know what gun he had. And the axe used in The Shining. So you too can break through a door, and say, "Here's Johnny," if you want.
I think it's now here's Jimmy.
Whoever you want it.
I think it's here's.
How about that? The sale is the 6th annual London auction put on by the movie-themed auction house Prop Store, and will be held over 2 days on September 30th and October 1st.
All right, now if I can't afford one of these auction
Which I know
prices-
you cannot.
Oh yes, you know specifically I cannot.
I know specifically you cannot. You have to pay for a wedding and stuff.
Yeah. Or something.
Well, it turns out that you're not left alone, because a free exhibition will be showing off the props. That will be available to the public. So you can go and look at them for free. You cannot own them, but you can at least take a look, take a picture.
So I can look, but I can't touch it.
You can take a picture; it lasts longer. That's what I've been told, at least by several people in my life.
Several people.
Yes, several. All right, that's it for movie news.
All right.
So that means, wow, we're cooking it here, and we're already 4 minutes past 30, and we're moving to television.
Real briefly, in other movie news, the trailer for Bad Boys.
Wow, what?
Bad Boys for Life.
Yes,
Hit
next to Bad
today.
Boys film.
Yes, hit today. It's out there for you to watch and enjoy and laugh at Martin Lawrence, because Will Smith is clearly acting circles around him, even after all these years.
Yeah, I mean, one has like a lot more experience than the other lately.
Yeah, but still. And the trailer for Jojo Rabbit, the Taika Waititi film about Hitler, or a kid in the Nazi army, Hitler, is out right now, and that's getting a lot of good buzz. I'm happy for that film. I kind of want to see it.
All right, cool. Okay, then that means we get to move on to television, and we always start television with the Sports Corner.
All right.
The football season is upon us at last.
Da-da-da-da.
Aren't you excited? The real
Da-da-da-da.
season starts tomorrow.
Da-da-da-da.
Opening with...
Ba-ba-ba-ba.
We got it.
Da-da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah, Anyway, this podcast is not sponsored by Fox. We don't have the rights to that music.
No, we don't.
However, the NFL Films music is all public domain, so you could have done one of those and we wouldn't have to pay for it. My favorite is the one that's like... That's my favorite.
The classic football follies.
Yes, exactly. Anyway. Sorry, we got derailed there. But yeah, if you want to watch a football game, first one is Bears at Packers.
A classic. And why are they doing Bears at Packers for the first game?
Tell me, because I don't know.
Oh, because this is the NFL 100th season. And Bears and Packers are two of the oldest teams in the NFL and one of the greatest rivalries in sports.
Okay, I have one question leading into the season premiere. Season premiere of football.
Yes.
My one question is, has Jay-Z saved us yet?
Not yet.
Not yet? Okay, he's working on it?
He's working on it. He has a
contract.
contract.
Supposed to save the league, I think.
He has a contract with the kids of the league in NFL Rush.
Kids? Oh, he's doing it for the kids.
He's always doing it for the kids.
He's doing it for the kids.
He's doing it for the kids.
Jay-Z is for the children. All right, let's move on. Also in sports, the Big Three championships. That's the ridiculous basketball.
Yes, and they have even more ridiculous names.
Yeah. That happened this past weekend. Joe Johnson leading the triplets. What city are the triplets from?
No cities. They don't have
states,
cities. They're just not states.
Oh, they're just
teams.
All right.
They're just teams.
Okay, the triplets.
Yes.
Against Steven Jackson and their killer threes.
Ha! Get it? Because Big Three.
They're all three themed.
Yeah, they are.
I'm picking up.
Yes.
That's bizarre. I don't understand the Big Three.
They didn't.
We watched it once and I hated it.
They don't have to be named that way.
Yeah,
they just are.
Yep. Okay. That's it for sports, unless you have anything else to add to sports here.
Nope. It's just this week is the beginning of football, and I am once again, as I am every season, excited for football to be back and played at a professional level.
Yes. Yes, I bet you are.
Also, fantasy sports is shit-talking heaven now.
Yes, always. All right.
But we're not here. We're not a sports
done with
podcast.
sports, in fact, because we're not a sports podcast. So we get to talk about the rest of TV, and we start TV news with, here we go, an update about the WGA's struggle against their talent agencies.
So it's been a while since we've checked in on the WGA. So
It has.
what's new with them?
So here's what's going on. The WGA West president, David A. Goodman, has urged members to hold together in the fight with the talent agencies. The writers and their agents still have not come to a deal. In the meantime, co-creator and executive producer of The Fosters and Good Trouble, Peter Page, has written an op-ed for The Hollywood Reporter in which he calls out the agencies and their roles. Here's a quote from the call-out. If the big agencies are not interested in tying their success to their clients, perhaps it's time to rethink their role in the business. If they feel there is more money to be made in producing content than representing the writers who create it, then perhaps we should let them. And we have to remember there is no product without a script. So, some big words.
Some big shade being thrown there.
I mean, obviously, I would assume that you're with me here, and we're definitely in the writer's corner here.
Oh yes, no, definitely the writer's corner here.
It's the talent agencies seem like they're being babies about this whole thing.
Well, it's the talent agencies wanting more money and undercutting their clients, which, as an agent, being the word agent, you're supposed to be working for the
your
client,
yes.
not for yourself.
Right. Or for the big corporations.
Right.
But yeah, he goes on in the op-ed to praise the Writers Union for fighting on behalf of all the writers and making sure that, quote, none of us gets ground beneath the wheel of corporate greed, unquote. That's a good quote.
Yes.
So yeah, the WGA and the ATA have not met face-to-face at the bargaining table since June 7th. That is a long
That is now
time.
2 months going on without a new bargaining for the
Ouch.
agencies.
Ouch.
Yeah. We're still with the writers. Writers are still on strike.
Yeah.
Note that writers are not on strike with the production companies. You'll still get new TV when it comes out next week. These are with their own talent agencies. And
Yeah.
you know what? Just open up a new talent agency for the writers and let's do it that way.
Yeah.
Undercut them.
All right, cool. So that means we get to move on to our second story here.
All right. What else is going on?
Dogs. Dogs are happening.
Well, yes, you're right. This has been the dog days of summer.
No. I mean, this next story is about dogs.
Oh, this is for the dogs?
It's for dogs, featuring dogs, about the dogs. If
So
you
let's
love
talk about,
dogs-
so it's about dogs. Let's talk about Rebel Wilson then.
I do not approve of that segue.
You went there. You talked
did
about
that.
I did
I
that.
had nothing to do with that.
All right, so
But yes, the story
dogs.
does talk about dogs, and it also, unrelated note, it talks about Rebel Wilson. She is hosting a show, a pet-themed reality competition series called, get this, Pooch Perfect.
What? It's like Pitch Perfect.
Pooch
Nope, dogs.
Perfect.
Pooch Perfect.
Pooch Perfect.
That's great. I
That
love
is what they came up with. Someone was paid millions of dollars to be on a team of people coming up with this name.
called
Just
Pooch Perfect.
Think about that for a second and reevaluate your life. Pooch Perfect is a reality competition series set to follow 10 professional dog stylists as they compete in a series of, dog stylists.
Yes, not groomers, not dog
Dog
groomers.
stylists.
Dog stylists.
In a series of themed challenges to transform their beloved pets. The winner will take home a $100,000 prize. Unfortunately, Wilson is technically allergic to dogs, so they're going to edit around her sneezing. This isn't the only animal-related project she's involved in, though. She's also set to star in Cats, as we know, as we've seen that creepy-ass trailer.
Yes.
And in the movie you just mentioned, Jojo Rabbit.
Yep.
So,
So dogs and rabbits and cats. Oh my.
Oh my.
Oh my.
So
But
yeah. Will you watch Pooch Perfect?
Probably. But that the little
Probably.
blurb about her being allergic to dogs.
Yes.
Actually true. Not a joke.
Oh yeah, no, I believed it.
She is actually allergic to dogs. But her family owns a dog ranch
Okay.
for breeding.
Yeah.
She comes from a family of breeders.
Oh,
But-
all of us do
Yes,
when you think about
technically,
it.
we all do.
We all do.
But no, that's how she gets involved with. That's how she
I see,
knows
yes.
all of these groomers.
Dog. I didn't know it was about dogs.
Yeah, knows a lot about dogs.
Cool. That's good to know.
Yeah.
All right. That's it for television news already.
What?
We're cooking.
Holy
All right.
moly!
But we have thoughts to talk about because
Okay.
there was some television this week.
All right, television happened.
Before we dive into the big one, let's talk about the Hard Knocks finale because if the football season is starting, that means that Hard Knocks is over.
Yes.
So how was Hard Knocks?
Hard Knocks happened as it does every year. This one was,
Yeah.
as we mentioned before, is about the Oakland Raiders. This is
Uh,
also the last season of them being in Oakland.
Yes.
As much as I like Hard Knocks, I wish they would have played more into some of that stuff of it being the last time or the last season in Oakland.
Yeah.
Being more about management, and as with previous seasons, a lot of the cuts that happens to players happens over the course of the preseason, where it's like, okay, we're gonna go from 90 men to 80 men
Yeah.
to 75 to the final 52 men. But the way they did it this year was all about, hey, we're just gonna have fun with it. Look how fun they are. Look at Coach Gruden. You know Coach Gruden, John Gruden, as the TV announcement, as the TV spokesman for Monday Night Football. Well, here he is being a coach and cursing at his players. And
Yeah.
knock on wood if you're with me.
So yeah, it
So,
was
yeah, it-
not the season you expected it.
No, it was a lot more of an entertainment season than it was of, hey, here's the NFL background of the
Right.
preseason
It
that
seemed
we're
like there
used to getting.
There were just stories that they just didn't want to touch for one reason or another.
Well, they touched on some of the stories, including Antonio Brown, but seeing as he dominated most of the news cycle, they didn't want to make him the focus of their show. With previous seasons of Hard Knocks, we'd focus on like 3 or 4 either rookies or new team members and try and see them make the roster. That hasn't been the case for the past 2 or 3 years now, and they've gone more to this kind of style of, we're just going to show you what's going on during preseason, some of like the gags and stuff that's going on, a little bit of the background stuff, and highlight a couple of players. Not necessarily the superstars, but just some of the players here and there. So that way, by the time we get to the season finale, you can have an idea of who we've been highlighting and will they make the team or not.
Right.
I kind of liked it how it was before, where you purposely followed several players, be they rookies or undrafted.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I see how that can be super boring because you don't know them, and when you're on a team with Antonio Brown or Derek Carr,
It's more
David Carr,
interesting to focus on the pigs.
or the head coach John Gruden, it's more interesting to focus on them
So-
than on the unknowns.
Here's a question then.
Answer.
Do you think that all of this is mostly due to the specificity of the Raiders as a team and the spot that they're at right now and the people on them? Or do you think that this is the producers of Hard Knocks thinking that they maybe need to make this show more broad and maybe they're going to do this way from now on?
I have a feeling that this is a producer's call because
That's what it
I
sounds
noticed
like.
this happened when they did the LA Rams 2
Yeah.
years ago when they came back for the 2016 first season back in LA.
Right.
That they focused a lot more on the interaction of the players and not necessarily who was getting cut, but more of here's the new fresh face of football in the team in LA and how they interact with everybody in LA. And it's kind of more about that, maybe more of an entertainment show than more of a news-ish docu-series.
Yeah.
But that being said, I do enjoy a lot of
It's so good.
the
Yeah.
infotainment that's going on here. I just kind of wish that there was also.
I love infotainment.
It is. It's informative and it's entertaining. It's infotainment. But I do kind of wish that there was a lot more of the docu-series in it.
Yeah.
But Hard Knocks, still good as always.
All right. Cool. Did you watch anything else before we go into the big fish in the pond here?
Did I watch anything else? No.
Okay. All right, well then we get to talk about.
Oh yes, I did.
You do this every single time.
No. It's nothing new. But what am I thinking of? Season 3 of The Good Place is on Netflix. So,
Right, so if you haven't seen it yet,
catch
up
up
before the 26th.
Yes.
Which is season 4 premiere.
Yep. That's all I have to say about
Okay, well, speaking of premieres,
Yes.
this past Labor Day, Monday of this week,
Mhm.
we saw the premiere of the long-awaited Steven Universe movie, a television movie that Cartoon Network had made for the Steven Universe series.
Yes, Steven Universe, the movie,
Yeah.
the musical, the TV show.
So yeah, all we
The
knew,
recap? We'll get there.
All we knew going into this thing is that there was a time skip of sorts, that our characters, including our beloved Steven, was a little older this time around, and that there was a new villain
new
involved that was
gem.
going to be there to shake things up. That's all we knew going into it. And the result was, it was something, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. That thing happened. And
We have to talk around
We're gonna-
spoilers,
yes.
unfortunately, which is going to make talking about this thing very difficult.
it is.
Because
Do we have to talk about spoilers, though? Because you can watch it on demand. It's available. It happened.
Just in case, though, people may be behind on the series as well, because
Okay.
in order to explain a lot of what happens in this, you need to know what has happened on the show in the last season.
Yes. Even though there is kind of a musical number recap of
Yeah.
recapping everything that happened in the
It
show.
does not do enough for you to know
No, it
100%
does not.
what you're missing.
Yeah.
So I strongly recommend that before you watch this, that you do catch up with the show. Hulu should be a good source for that. I believe they have everything from the last season on there. There is, it turns out, a time jump here from the events of the most recent episode. So time has passed, and I don't think it's too much of a spoiler to say that things are at peace. The previous...
Well, yes, because
Yeah.
okay, real briefly, do you see this as a finale, or is this the finale? Have they said
No,
this is the finale?
they have said that this is not to be treated as a finale, but if the show did get a new order of episodes, and if they were to return, it would be different. They haven't
Right.
said in what way it would be different. They
Okay.
just said that they would be doing things differently style-wise and in their approach
Okay.
if the show came back. So no, this is not the end of Steven Universe, and nor should it be, nor is it really treated that way.
I don't know, kind of felt like it was.
Well, I think that's not. I think there already
But
was a
it
sense of
was.
finality before the film.
Right, I
And that's
thought
what I
that-
was just going to say.
Yeah, well, that's
is
what I'm
that-
trying to get with.
That the time jump happens after a nice kind of tying of loose ends, you could say.
Mhm.
A lot of the conflicts that had previously existed in the series had been wrapped up, and you had some former villains coming around and not being villains anymore, essentially. And so yeah, this was kind of a blank slate, and the movie uses that as its template, where it's like, all right, cool, we have a blank slate. What happens next to these
Mhm.
characters? Where are they now? And how can we flip the script? And it does that with this new villain that's been shown in the trailers. How exactly that goes on, I can't tell you, and how exactly what they do with this villain. All I can say is that it's a really creative take.
It definitely is creative.
Yeah.
I like the idea that where they go for this, because
Yeah.
one, you have to explain where's this gem been.
Yeah,
How are they being all of a sudden a threat?
yeah,
The threat is really good because
Yes.
it ties it straight to the plot,
yes.
and it's like, So why can't we talk about this?
I
Because
know. So the first thing I will say, so we can talk about style and music and stuff. So the first thing I can say is that I really like their direction they took with the new character.
Mhm.
Whereas most of Steven Universe is an ode to like anime, this character is more like an ode to classic American animation. The way she's animated is very much this very fluid
1920s.
Looney Tunes-esque, but even before Looney Tunes-esque kind of thing. Yeah,
Right.
this very early animation take.
Very Nickelodeon-esque.
Yeah, but not even that though. Like it's a confluence of all those things. There's some of that 20s like spindly kind of Oswald the Lucky Rabbit thing going on with her.
That's why he said spindly.
Right, I know. But
I think that was on purpose.
Yes, but there is also an element, like you said, of kind of more recent American animation,
Mhm.
where a lot of her takes are very like over the top like you would see in an like a more traditional like Nickelodeon style show.
Oh no,
or
I was talking
Cartoon
about
Network
like
style show.
old school Nickelodeon,
But
as
I'm
well as new
But that's
actual
what I'm saying is that
Nickelodeon.
it's a confluence of all sorts of styles. But overall, styles that aren't usually represented in Steven Universe, which has a very specific kind of like I said, anime influence, but also kind of like watercolor aesthetic. It's a very different style for a show that hasn't really dabbled in that yet. It's something that OKKO does more.
Yes.
If you're going to use a modern comparison. But yeah, it was a
You
unique
mean the
take.
former OKKO,
Well, yeah.
recently canceled OKKO.
We'll talk about that next week because the final episode's this week.
Oh, okay.
I will be able to talk about the finale of that show next week.
Okay.
but
But we're
yeah.
talking about Steven Universe now.
We're talking about Steven Universe. Anyways, but yeah, so I thought that was a really cool take. And so it added a visual kind of contrast between this character and the existing world. And it made her stand more apart from the cast of characters that we're more familiar with. Made her truly feel like she was left out, which the plot kind of backs up as well.
Yes.
The music, I think, was real cool. So this is a musical.
Well, yes.
I mean, Steven Universe as a whole has had musical episodes even, and has had a lot of songs featured in its soundtrack, but this is the first time they've really gone full no, this whole thing, this movie is a movie-length musical. There are recurring songs, there are reprises, there are, exposition songs, as you mentioned, that do a lot of good recaps of what's happened before. A lot of fun stuff like that, and yeah, it's a stellar soundtrack.
Oh no, the soundtrack is great. The musical numbers are perfect. They definitely hit on each note, both musically and plot-wise.
Yeah.
They definitely drive their points home. I forget what I was reading, but I think it was like on something about Disney musicals that when your character needs to fully express themselves, you get them to sing.
Yes.
And boy, do they sing, and boy, does it come across really well.
And it is almost set up like one of those Disney musicals, too,
Yeah.
because it even opens up with a storybook opening, like literally a storybook opening.
Yes, and
I'm doing, for people on the audio, I'm opening a book with my hands.
Yes.
Just like the classic Disney films did. And has like a nice opening number that establishes the situation, the main character, and then you do have the want song. You basically have Steven expressing what his current situation is and how he would and what he wants for the future, and then how things quickly go downhill for him. But yeah, it's quite a crazy soundtrack. I mean, you have people involved, like Chance the Rapper has a co-writing credit on one of the songs in this thing. Indie artist Mike Kroll wrote one of the songs that wrote specifically the song that Sadie's band does, which is very much his style.
Yes.
He put in an album this year that sounds exactly like that, and I was like, I immediately knew. I was like, oh yeah, this is what Mike Kroll wrote. And then also Ted Leo of the band Ted Leo and the Pharmacist also featured in this. He is used in something I absolutely cannot spoil because it is a big moment in this thing. But he does one of the songs in this thing, and it's a really cool moment.
Is it the one I'm thinking of?
We'll talk after the talk after the podcast
It is.
about that. But yes, that is what it is.
That was like the best moment of the show.
Yeah, it has a lot of really cool moments, like the one we just mentioned, and the music just accentuates it. But yeah, I think theme-wise, it does a good job of. I couldn't help but thinking while I was watching this thing about Toy Story 4, which I know sounds weird.
No.
But let me explain.
I got that too.
But let me explain. The reason why I thought about it was because, just like Toy Story 4, this is something that's basically taking a story that had presumably been told and finished, and then adding a new dimension to it by adding a new character and adding some backstory that you weren't familiar with, and padding out the story to make it a little bit more nuanced. And that's what this does. It has a lot of similarities there, and the feeling that I have about it after seeing it is similar. Where I'm like, you know what, this didn't have to happen, but I'm glad it did because this was this extra way of reinforcing the main character's character arc.
Yeah.
It basically took everything that Steven had gone through and was like made him really think about it. And again, in ways I cannot say.
Right.
But yeah.
Without spoiling too much. But no, I definitely did get Toy Story 4 vibes.
Yeah.
I definitely understood the direction they went artistically with the new character.
Yes.
Of everything that she represented
Yeah.
and how she was in direct conflict with Steven, how it plays into that time skip, how it plays into that
Yeah.
feeling of growing that the show has always been about.
Yes, yes. If anything, yeah,
I'm dancing around big things here,
Right.
but because
The movie does
talk about
yeah.
anything will like I said, spoil a lot of
Yeah.
it. But
the movie does, yeah, you're right, reinforces the theme of the show, which is that you grow from the things you like do, and from the friendships that you have, and the hardships you have to exist through.
Mhm.
You are defined in the universe of Steven Universe
Yes.
as the things that you've been able to accomplish through strength.
right.
And that's what this movie is about. And yeah, it's a good capper. If this ends up being the end of the series, I think it's a good way to go out. If this ends up being a transition
Mhm.
to something new, I'm also game for that.
Yes.
I think the only thing this movie doesn't have that I kind of wished it did was more of the Beach City citizens, the more human part of the series. You do get
They're in
fleeting
there. They
glimpses.
throw them around,
You
but
do get fleeting glimpses of them, and I know that the story is mostly about Steven
Mhm.
here, and so it's less about the rest of the world.
mhm.
But yeah, I thought it would be interesting if they had, say, introduced a B plot. There's no B plot in this thing. But if they had introduced alternate plot lines, that would have been interesting for them to have played around with. But that would also have been a movie longer than what they probably wanted to make.
right.
So I'm wondering, it makes me wonder what got on the cutting room floor here, and if there were other plots that they wanted to play around with here. Because yeah, it's a very straightforward A to B kind of thing here, for the most part.
Well, I think all your other subplots are just mini plots within the episode that get resolved
Right, yeah.
way before the actual end.
It's all Act 2 rising action,
Yeah.
really. Is those things, so it's like, anyway. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed it, though. I
Mhm.
mean, I'm probably going to watch it again at some point. Just to
I wouldn't mind
see
watching it
things,
again.
Yeah, to see things that I missed,
Yeah.
or just kind of enjoy the whole thing without thinking about it so much as you do when the first thing
Yes.
time you see something.
I'd like to watch the thing with the director's commentary on
That
it.
would be really cool. I would really love if they put a Blu-ray print of this out
Right.
in a couple months or something. That would be something I would definitely buy, because it's a really. Oh yeah, we didn't even talk about how beautiful this thing looks.
Oh, no. It's great animation.
Yeah, they got the budget to make something really impressive.
Yes. It seems like Cartoon Network just said, you know, you've been a hit
Yeah.
for us.
Yeah.
Go ahead, make what you want in this film.
It was your vanity project. Because
Yep.
yeah, from moment one, you're like, oh wow, they're making the thing that they want to make.
Yes.
Like Cartoon Network gave them.
I'm kind of wondering where if
blank
Cartoon
check.
Network said no at any point.
Because it seemed like they were able to do stuff in this that they usually don't get on the series.
Speaking of that,
Yeah.
there's a heck of a lot of detail that goes into this thing.
Yes.
Detail within Beach City, details of stuff that has happened throughout the series,
Yeah.
details that they even harken back to,
Oh, yeah.
that are brought back. This thing is a love letter to Steven Universe,
Yeah.
written by Steven Universe.
So yeah, it's definitely. I definitely, like I said, recommend watching the entire series before you see this,
Mhm.
just so you can appreciate what they did here more. But yeah, I 100% heartily recommend it. Check it out. It's on Hulu. If you have Hulu, I believe it's for everybody. I don't know. I think it would be, right?
It's on. I watched it on demand. I didn't watch it live, but I watched it on
I
demand.
watched it live. On
Yeah.
the West Coast, at least, not live East.
Right.
But yeah, it was it was something. So I recommend it for people who like the series.
Yeah. Yeah, I recommend it too. That is two that is two watch it. That's
Media
two
boat
see it.
recommendation is you
That's Media
probably
boat
should
see
this. All right. Anything else to add before we move out of television into cancellations and renewals?
Anything else on TV? No, but ads for TV are coming.
Fall
Or
season is rapidly
is-
approaching as
yes.
September opens here. So
Yes, especially with the start of football here, expect to see a lot of their ads,
Yeah.
primetime ads during daytime games on Sunday because hundreds of millions of viewers will be watching them. So this is how they get all that word out.
It's coming. All right, cancellations and renewals.
All
First
right,
up,
what am I no longer watching?
on Comedy Central, you're no longer watching. You are still watching South Side as they've renewed it for a second season.
Southside.
USA has renewed Queen of the South for its fifth season.
Not to be confused with Southside.
Lifetime canceled American Princess after one season.
Aw.
No more American Princess. Meanwhile, on Apple Watch?
No, Apple iTunes?
What the hell is
Apple
that called?
TV?
It's called Watch something, right?
Apple.
Isn't it?
No, because Apple Watch is
Oh,
the Apple Watch.
is the Watch. That's right. Never mind.
Yeah.
It's Apple. It's not Apple TV because Apple TV is the thing. Whatever the hell Apple calls their television.
Apple Studios.
They've canceled Bastards after one season.
No.
Bastards.
Minus one season.
Bastards.
Canceled it minus one season. They
Bastards.
canceled it before it went into production.
Those bastards. All right.
Yes, they canceled those bastards before they went into production.
And then that's it for cancellations renewals. So we get to talk about deaths.
All right.
All right, first up in deaths. This is more of a follow-up to last week's show, but it is a death, so we have to talk about it.
Yes.
But yeah, if you recall, last week we talked about the sexual assault allegations against game developer Alec Holowka. Well, shortly after this all happened, the day after we recorded, Alex took his life that following morning. So he committed suicide at age 35.
Yeah.
So he's no longer with us. So this, in case you didn't watch last week's show or listen to last week's show, he was a video game developer. He worked on Night in the Woods, which we talked about, but also other games like Aquaria. So this kind of complicates a lot of this conversation. But obviously our hearts are with the family and everybody who was close with him, and especially the people who had interactions with him that we talked about last week. Everybody, this doesn't make anything better for anybody. This just makes it more complicated and make this darker and sadder for literally everyone involved in this story. So
yeah,
there's no way of getting around it.
There's no bright side to this.
No, there's not.
There's also going to be no resolution.
One minor thing though that did come out of this was his sister did make a statement on social media before she promptly shut down her social media accounts immediately after this, but to say that she was in support of the survivors, of people who had interacted with them in a negative light, and also that she didn't want people to use his death to advance agendas against the survivors of those things. So basically, she used her platform to say that this doesn't mean that we should be celebrating or positively reflecting on what happened. No, it's we need to keep the conversation about the allegations going while also mourning his loss. So it's complex. It's a whole thing, but yeah, we had to mention it here. All right, other deaths. This was also a real sad one. Gordon Bresic, age 68. That name sounds familiar. Probably watched a lot of Kids WB in your time because he was a TV writer for shows such as Pinky and the Brain and Animaniacs, some of favorites of me growing up, as well as Bionic 6 and some other kids shows of that same era. He was a prominent kids show writer. I believe he even had a co-created credit on a couple of shows that weren't on Kids WB, but aired on other networks similarly. But yeah, definitely a big totem in kids writing of the era.
Right.
Also this week, Franco Columbu, age 78, an Italian bodybuilder and actor. You may have seen it in Conan the Barbarian and The Terminator. He was also Mr. Olympia in 1976 and 1981. Bodybuilding.
Yes, he was a bodybuilding champion. Mr. Olympia is the highest you can be in bodybuilding world.
Yeah.
He was technically the predecessor to Arnold Schwarzenegger. Every year Arnold Schwarzenegger won, he'd come in and beat him the following year.
Yeah.
Which is why he became good friends and appeared with him in Conan the Barbarian and The Terminator and other Arnold Schwarzenegger projects.
And then lastly, this was a sad one. Real young, age 39, Jesse
that's young.
Combs, who most people will remember from MythBusters. Jesse
Yes.
from MythBusters.
Jessie was one of the original MythBusters back in
Yes.
season 1. She was one of the original build teams before they brought in Tori, I believe.
Tori is the guy.
Yeah, Tori's the guy.
But the girl...
Carrie.
Carrie.
Yeah.
But yeah, Jessie was, the
Or maybe it
original
was
squad.
Grant.
She was the blonde.
Yeah.
And yeah, dang, this sucks because that's really so young.
Mm-hmm.
Goes to show you how young she was on the show when she was on it.
Yeah.
And then if you do the math.
Right. But no, she unfortunately passed away while she was doing a stunt to break her own record for the fastest woman on 4 wheels,
Aw.
breaking going 450 miles an hour,
Yikes.
I think. Yeah, something like that.
Well, on that depressing note, that's it for deaths. So that
Yes.
means I get to hand this over to you and we get to talk about music.
Okay, so on to more depressing stuff then.
No,
Mu-
less depressing things, fortunately, in music today.
Uh,
Well, until we get to thoughts. Anyway.
Yes. As I
Alright.
was saying.
We'll get there.
All right.
Alright.
So music. We always start music with the Billboard, and we start the Billboard with the Hot 100. But there's a big asterisk here.
Okay, the Hot 100 is intact. There was a holiday weekend, though, which means that some of the charts did not propagate. And by that I mean the Billboard 200. So when we get to albums, we only have one album for you, but we do have 5 singles for you. Give them to me.
All right. So we have a new number 1,
Yes, another new number 1.
and it's not Lil Nas X.
No.
This is "Truth Hurts" by Lizzo.
Yes,
getting
Lizzo's
that
first-
MTV bump.
Yep. Lizzo's first number 1 hit with a bullet here after weeks of climbing the chart from way down there. Need I remind you that this is a 2016 release?
You must remind us
yes,
it's a 2016
This is a
release.
song that has been around for a while, but only is now becoming a huge hit for Lizzo. So good for her.
This is also nothing new. This happens to artists all the time.
Happens.
But yes, congratulations to Lizzo. You finally have a number 1 single,
Yes.
Truth Hurts. Number 2, you beat out Senorita by Shawn Mendes and Camila
Yeah.
Cabello. Number 3, Bad Guy by Billie Eilish.
Yep.
Number 4, Making, I don't know if it's his debut, but getting into that number 4
Yes.
slot, You Need to Calm Down by Taylor Swift.
I believe it was previously at number 2, one of the weeks after
I wanna say when it was
Lil Nas
released.
X. This is its return. It is also of note that all 18 songs off of Lover, Taylor Swift's Lover, have charted in the Hot 100 this week,
Mm-hmm.
all in varying locations.
Right.
The title song, Lover, is in the top 10, but did not make the top 5 this week.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's because at number 5 is still Old Town Road by Lil Nas X.
Yes, still there.
And Billy Ray Cyrus.
Not going away anytime soon.
So, as we mentioned, Billboard 200 is delayed.
Yes.
However, because you said all 18 songs were on the top 100,
And
I
also,
have to...
because it shattered physical sales releases for this year and is the top physical release of the year already.
We can only assume
Yeah.
that Lover by Taylor Swift is the number 1 album this week. Rightfully so.
Yeah, and rightfully
as
so.
we mentioned it last week, as we had our thoughts on Lover last
Yeah.
week, we both, ironically, loved it. Unironically.
Yes. One thing else, other thing I will note about that is that this is definitely a milestone, though, because this will definitely be your biggest selling record of the year.
Mhm.
Because may I remind you that this was the year that gave us the lowest selling number 1 single or one album in the history of the Billboard charts. Remember that? It
was like
a
30,000?
Boogie with the Hoodie that only sold 759 copies.
Right, physical copies.
No, like that's including streaming
that's including
numbers.
streaming numbers?
That was everything.
Okay.
So yeah,
so,
keep that
yeah.
in mind. So selling over 1 million, 759, 1 million is already a big difference.
There might be a couple commas missing there.
It's a lot of odd numbers.
Not 1 comma, a couple commas.
So yeah, needless to say, Taylor Swift making a bunch of bank off of this one.
Alright, but will she be able to hold off against these new releases?
Yes.
Yes?
Well, except for maybe one, but we'll get there.
Alright, so, if you're done listening to Lover, we have new releases.
We do.
Alright, first up, we have Engine of Paradise by Adam Green. Lost Girls by Bat for Lashes.
Yep.
Valve Bone Woe by Chrissy Hind. Close It Quietly by Frankie Cosmos. Artemis by Lindsey Sterling,
Yep.
who released that new song only a couple days ago. Competition by The Lower Dens. Rubber Band by Miles Davis. Yes, that Miles Davis?
Yeah, that Miles Davis.
Saves the World by Muna. How It Feels to Be Lost by Sleeping with Sirens. The High Woman by The High Woman.
That includes Brandy Carlisle. It's a supergroup.
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 It's super groupy.
Supergroup.
Yeah. Free by Iggy Pop. Yes, that Iggy Pop. And finally, the album that will go up against Taylor Swift.
Well, keep in mind 2 weeks because
It's 2
there's
weeks
always
out.
a gap.
Yes, there's always a gap. But the album that will go up against Taylor Swift, Hollywood's Bleeding by Post Malone.
So yeah. Next week's number one will probably be the thing we talk about in Thoughts today.
Probably.
It's already trending to be number one. But yes, in 2 weeks, Post Malone's got that on lock. There's no way that Post Malone doesn't debut at number one.
Is it weird that I could read this as Hollywood's Bleeding presents Post Malone album?
Right, but no.
Post
Post
Malone
Malone is
by-
a man's name.
Post
somehow.
Malone by Hollywood's Bleeding, or Hollywood's Bleeding by Post Malone?
Yep.
Alright.
Bleeding, not breeding. I mean, Hollywood is also breeding, but that's a different album.
Yes, they're also bleeding and reading
Bleeding and
bleeding
sometimes at the same time.
and reseeding and rereading, and we're going on.
Yes, because there's music news to talk about.
Alright. First up in music news, Avicii. So, as we mentioned, Avicii is no longer with us. Constantly reminding
Yes.
you guys. But a tribute concert for the late DJ and artist, who died last year in apparent suicide, will take place on December 5th in his hometown of Stockholm, and feature 19 of the original singers on his biggest songs, as well as opening sets by his friends David Guetta, Kygo, Dimitri Vegas, and Like Mike, Laid Back Luke, and Nicky Romero. Those are some really top-notch DJs right there.
I'm glad you knew who they were because I didn't know any of those names.
I know 4 of these 5.
All right.
The fact that I could do Dimitri Vegas and Like Mike, that they're a duo,
Yeah.
says I'm not sure which one is which.
Makes sense.
But the other 4 I clearly recognize from, it's been a while, but I recognize them. The singers' participations who will be there include Aloe Black, Adam Lambert, Alex Ebert, Rita Ora, and Joe Janiak. See the full list below.
So Aloe Black will do that one song, I'm sure. That
He feels so close
yes.
to you now.
That was Aloe Black.
That was
Aloe
Aloe
Black
Black.
did the Wake Me Up.
Wake Me
one.
Up.
That's
He
the
did
one.
both.
Oh, he did both?
He did both.
Oh, okay.
Yes, they will all perform with a 30-piece band to perform a 2-hour headlining set of his original music at the Friends Arena in Stockholm. All net profits from the Avicii tribute concert will be for mental health awareness, which is produced by the foundation bearing Avicii's real name, Tim Bergling.
Yeah.
We mentioned this when he died, that his family would set this up for
Right,
him.
yes.
This is a continuation of that. Proceeds will go to supporting organizations which address mental health needs and suicide prevention.
Yes.
So, if you want to book a ticket to Stockholm and see probably one of the best lineups this decade,
If you love EDM.
Or yeah, I guess that's also true. Or, you can also, help by donating to the organization
Yes.
as well. But no, this sounds like a good lineup. This sounds like something they've been trying to work on getting at,
Yeah.
and are finally getting it done.
It's great.
This is great. This is good news. I like when we do good news.
Yeah, I know. It's rare, but we got them.
I know. Considering last week we had a couple of unfortunate news stories.
Yeah.
This month, or in August.
This one's a little lighter, yeah.
Yeah. But no, I like that. I like that. This is good. Festivals are always good, especially when they go to helping stuff.
Indeed.
Speaking of helping stuff,
Yes.
Taylor Swift.
Helping yourself in China.
Yeah, she is. Because, while, as we mentioned, it's official, Taylor Swift's Lover is an international hit. The global superstar has set a new record, not in the U.S., but in China. Well, I guess also in the
Also,
U.S.
but yes.
But yes, also in China this week after her latest album, Lover, became the most consumed international full-length album in the country in 2019, more than doubling the previous record for album consumption within the first week. According to Universal Music Group, the record has topped over 1 million equivalent units, including both sales and streaming in China since its release last Friday. So we knew Taylor Swift was going to be a big hit here in the U.S. The fact that she's big everywhere is kind of good. It's not kind of good. It's good for Universal Music because they, stole her from Big Machine Records before Big Machine Records stole its music from her.
Yeah.
But no, this is, like we said, a bona fide hit for Taylor Swift. She's back on top of the music stardom?
Potentially. I mean, it'll be interesting to see kind of what the tail on this one is, because Reputation definitely was a came and went kind of album.
Yep.
So it'll be interesting to see whether people turn on this in the same kind of way. I'm already getting very interesting reactions from people when I tell them that I liked Lover.
Well,
there seems to be still some very, very staunch anti-Taylor sentiment out there.
Maybe because they haven't actually listened to the album. That's just going on.
Maybe, but also, I just think that last album
lost a lot of goodwill.
Lost a lot of goodwill. Exactly, yeah. So we'll see.
Well, don't be surprised if Taylor does even more stops or adds more dates to her China tour,
Yeah.
or does that. All right,
See.
we'll see. But before we get to that, we may have a new number one on our hand next week.
Yeah.
This will go right into our thoughts
Okay. All right.
as we both listen to an album by an artist I've been telling you to listen to for the past 4 years.
Yeah. So about that. All right. So that kind of, I guess, gets at the question I was going to ask, but I guess I can rephrase it in a more broad way. So what is your experience with the enigma known as Lana Del Rey?
Lana Del Rey. I first heard about her with I think it was a Avicii song actually, Summertime Sadness.
Yeah, was that Avicii?
I think that was Avicii.
The remix
The
I'm
remix
talking
version,
about,
yes.
because obviously there is a normal version.
Right, so
But-
I listened to the remix version, I liked it, then I listened to the original version, I was like, oh, this is still good. So I kind of slowly became a fan of Lana Del Rey and thus listened to her albums when she put them out.
Okay.
I've been noting this on this podcast
Yeah.
for the past 190 episodes now.
Yeah.
When it comes up, when it is apparent.
I think she's only put out 2 records since we've been doing this, but
But I have listened to both of those records. I have praised both of those records.
All right.
They've not appeared in my top 5 list, end of the year list, but
Okay.
I do enjoy listening to them.
So my experience with her is a little different.
Yes.
Way back in the far off time of 2011, if you can think back that far.
Yes.
Her first singles kind of came out, and the internet thought it was a joke at first.
Mhm.
Nobody really knew how to figure her out. Nobody really knew what her deal was. Her delivery was very much purposefully old-fashioned.
Yes.
And every picture of her, nobody could really tell if it was really her or not. And it was just, the internet was fascinated by who this person was, why she was going by a stage name, like whether this was an act, and like whether like what the story behind the person was, and where this all was coming from. So as she started releasing albums, though, like, you know, I would listen to them, but like they never really did much for me. I was stuck on the gap between what I perceived as artifice, or like perceived artifice, and like what she was actually trying to do. There was just this disconnect in all of her music, that I just couldn't get past. It always felt like she was playing a character. I mean, on this podcast, we've talked about another person who kind of does this in the music scene, Father John Misty.
Yes.
And over time, that wore on me too. And the last time he put out a record, I believe last year.
It was last year.
We talked about it, and I kind of trashed it because I was like, I just don't understand why he feels like he needs to record under this weird, like, distant, like, thing, but then also talk about, like, how terrible the thing he's doing is doing. It's like, it just, the disconnect made no sense to me. And so that's what, at least, I perceived that Lana was doing.
Mm-hmm.
And from what I've been able to gather, she was doing that basically up until the last couple records. The last one, 2017's Lust for Life.
Yes.
I don't know how much you remember about it, but it was a more personal kind of take. It was like the first time she was actually like kind of putting more of herself in the record. I listened to it, but still didn't really quite like jive with it. It was a little. She was like brushing up with some pop sounds that I didn't really think were a good mix with her, and like I still wasn't really on board. This, however, is different.
So we should probably say the name of the album we're trying to get around here.
Yeah. So, yeah. That's a name, man.
Yeah.
Norman fucking Rockwell.
Yes.
Basically,
NFR.
The thing is though, the title itself kind of tells you what you're in for. Like, Lana has always been kind of this, like, she's used a lot of references to Americana and what it is to be, like, in American society. She's always kind of, like, referenced very American things, whether it be American pop culture, whether it be, like, very traditional kind of... I mean, she literally has a song called Blue Jeans, one of her first single. It's like she's always dealing in this very kind of American lens. So it's no surprise that she'd be using Norman Rockwell, like a artist who is a symbol of American, like, you know, like pleasantness. Like, you associate his paintings with a slice of life in the American 1940s. You know, it's like very specific kind of thing she's eliciting here. But that fucking in the middle, that fucking punches right through it. And like, I think that's always been kind of her approach, right? She combines this like old-fashioned kind of thing, but also is extremely recent, and like references like slang and like very current references among all of this apple pie Americana. But I don't think she's ever done it as well as she does it here. Like, what was your thought listening to this through the first time? Having been more familiar with the over.
This is exactly what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
Having listened to her previous two albums, having a little bit of following her, this is exactly what I thought it was going to be. It was a lot of, like you said, those like over-the-top, kind of like oldie-timey exaggeration stuff, but also in like this kind of like whisper singing.
Right, yeah. She has a style, very specific style.
Very specific style.
Now, a lot of people have tried to copy, mainly Taylor Swift, on this very album that we talked about last week.
Right. But no, she does... Like, even though she has that old-timey style, she is still very modern. She talks about modern stuff, modern feeling, modern intake. It is everything that's, like, it combines the old with the new, and that's why people have such a hard time placing this, because it's like, is this for me? Is this about me? Is this not what I want, or is it exactly what I need?
And I think that the difficulty I had, I'm now realizing it was twofold. The difficulty, one part of it was, I couldn't tell if it was an act.
Mm-hmm.
But what happened, I think, is, one, she's gotten a lot better at her songwriting. I mean, some of the writing on this is incredible, both musically and lyrically. I think this album has some of the strongest lyrics I've heard all year. But two, I think also, in a way, the culture kind of caught up to Lana.
Yeah.
I think what we're seeing now in pop pop, as we've talked about on this podcast this year, has turned very melodramatic. We're going through a very moody, very emotional state in music right now as a culture. And that's kind of where she's been since she started.
Right. Well, you have Exhibit B, Billie Eilish.
Right, yes.
As a clear example of that.
This is she was in touch with something that was not at all trendy in 2011 when the radio was chock full of, what do you know, Avicii, and things that, and the EDM craze was blowing up. It seemed out of place to have someone so entrenched in both an old-fashioned kind of guise and this weird artificial sounding thing. Now that's on the radio 24/7. It's, you have with the SoundCloud rap scene and Billie Eilish and people of her, like the generation. Hell, I would even say a lot of the stuff that we saw like post last pop boom. Remember when One Direction dissolved and then Zayn Malik started making music, and
it was all
Harry Styles put out a song like an album that was full of basically like classic rock stuff. It was like, it's that generation.
His main hit off of that was called "Change of the Time."
Yeah, Time of the Time.
Time of the Time.
And so yeah, it's like we've seen in the last 5 years specifically, we've seen a move towards this very emotional approach to pop music. And I think Lana knew that this was going to be the thing, or maybe she was just doing the thing, not knowing that it was going to be the trend. She created the trend instead of chasing it.
She's always been that way, though, because even with Summertime Sadness, the song itself is a super downer of a song. Yeah. But because it was thrusted into the pop zeitgeist with the pop background behind it.
It kind of, you're maybe right about that. That may have maybe been a turning point.
Because that song was a dichotomy of two things. Here's this super sad song with this super happy music. And what other song was a hit at around that time? Pumped Up Kicks.
Right.
Which is the exact same thing.
So I don't want to say that this is 100% a new thing. I'm just saying that it follows like a trend thing that's been happening specifically recently. Obviously, like, it's indebted to a lot of other influences as well. What I will say, though, is I can't really do as much justice of talking about this part of it as some of the professional writers. I recommend that people listening to this, if they want to get some real deep dives about this stuff, check out a few writers' takes. Namely, on Pitchfork, the Pitchfork review was written by Jen Pelly, a journalist I really respect, and she did a super awesome job of breaking the whole thing down in her 9.4 rave of this thing.
Woo!
Yeah, that's the highest score that they've given a record this year. And so, yeah, I would recommend reading Jen Pelly's take. I think she did a really good job. Also, Lindsay Zolad's piece on The Ringer is really good about this as well. And then kind of to do a better job than I just did about kind of just like dissecting why this matters now and why it took a while for the connection to really happen.
So the one thing I really liked about Lana Del Rey is that she makes you feel things. She make you feel things?
I mean, okay. So yes and no, because again, there's a distance with her. I mean, the way that she records her music, which I do want to say, shout out again, second week in a row to Jack Antonoff.
Hey!
Been behind the boards again here. I believe he produced the entirety of this one, as opposed to just a handful of songs on the Taylor Swift record. But man, just proven 2019 is his like coming out party here. I mean, some would argue that he's been around for a while.
He has been around for a while.
This is definitely, he's making, I think with the trilogy of records with Lord's Melodrama, Lover, and now this, I think that's like proof that he's like an extremely important producer right now. So yeah, look for him at the Grammys this year for sure.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I think that there's a distance with it, so it's like, it's never really clear whether she really wants to elicit like a feeling from you, like explicitly or like not. I don't know. It's something I wrestle with her. But yes, I think this is the closest she's gotten to straight up writing like really emotive songs. Like there's a couple of moments on it that she's going for the heartstrings. So.
But so we have to grade this thing.
I mean, I think it's really, really good. Like, I mean, it's definitely, like I said, it's got some of the best songwriting in the year, for sure. I think it's extremely solid. I was literally almost falling out of my seat when her cover of that Sublime song started. There is a cover of a Sublime song in this thing.
That's not the only cover of this thing.
I was like, what is happening right now? But it's real good. It's real impressive.
This is a good album. Definitely check this out.
Yeah.
May even be your number one album next week.
It will.
Question mark. We'll see about that.
All right.
But yeah, Norman fucking Rockwell.
It's fucking good.
Fucking good.
Turns out.
All right.
Anyways,
moving on. Wow, we're blowing through this thing because we are in video games.
All right, cool. Let's wrap this party up.
All right, we start video games with new releases. Well, there is only one actual release coming out. We have other games.
There's plenty. What are you talking about?
All right, well, we have River City Girls on the PlayStation, Xbox, Switch, and PC.
That's an all-female sequel to the River City Ransom games.
We have Creature in the Well on Xbox, Switch, and PC.
That is a hybrid pinball RPG?
Blasphemous.
Did I read the explanation correctly?
Blasphemous.
Yeah, I know.
No, the next game. Blasphemous.
Oh, sorry, yes.
On
there's also a game
PlayStation,
called Blasphemous.
Xbox, Switch, and PC.
I don't know what that is.
eFootball, PES 2020. This is a soccer game.
If you don't know what this is the franchise formerly known as Pro Evolution Soccer.
That's what the PES is for
that's
PlayStation,
PES.
Xbox, and PC.
Yep.
Greedfall for PlayStation, Xbox, and PC. And your other sport game, NHL 20 for PlayStation and Xbox EA Access only.
Just a note, this is only EA Access. The regular version comes out next week.
Yep. But there are 3 other games coming out this week that are of note.
Yes.
I didn't conspicuously skip them. First one is a DLC, Monster Hunter World, Iceborne.
So the PlayStation version of this has already been out. This is specifically the PC and Xbox One releases
Yes.
of the DLC.
NBA 2K20 for the PlayStation, Xbox, Switch, and PC.
Basketball starting early.
And lastly, Gears 5. This is Gears of War.
Yeah, that's the big release
fifth,
this week.
for the Xbox and PC. Do note that if you have Xbox Game Pass,
You get this
you get this game already.
on launch day.
Mhm.
So check this out if you have that. But yeah, early buzz about Gears has been mixed. Some people are digging the new approach with kind of a open world hub, and some are not getting it. So we'll see.
Well, we'll see. Are you planning on...
If I have time, I will check it out.
It is free, or it's not
Yeah.
free, but...
I have access to it via Game Pass, but yeah,
Yes.
if I have time sometime this week. My mother is here, so time is of the essence this week for sure. Yes. Exactly.
Alright. Well, it's a good thing we're live today.
Good thing.
Yeah, good thing, because we had a Nintendo Switch, or not Nintendo Switch, Nintendo Direct today.
Turns out it was a Nintendo Switch Direct, as this Direct was all about the Switch.
Oh yeah, it was all about the Switch.
Which is a weird thing for them to specify, because I'm pretty sure the 3DS is dead. So
I
now
believe
it's
they
all about the Switch.
I do believe they kind of marketed itself as the 3DS is dead when they came out with the Switch Lite and the non.
Or maybe they still need to differentiate it from their mobile stuff.
They are doing mobile stuff. We will be talking about that.
One of their mobile games
Yes,
later.
we
But
will.
first, yes, Nintendo Direct happened, and man, it was a doozy.
All right, so we'll hear the announcements in the order they were announced.
That makes sense.
That's a good way to do things.
Yeah,
First up, that game that everyone's been playing before Fortnite is now on the Switch. Overwatch.
Yeah,
It's coming
Switch version of Overwatch.
Switch coming to Overwatch. Overwatch coming to Switch.
Yeah, man, how weird is that, right? Like a Blizzard game that's online only, and you need to play very quickly, and is very Twitch based. Like, is coming to a system that does not do any of that well.
Well, if you want to play it mobile, I guess,
Yeah.
you can do that on October the 15th.
Yeah.
Also, SNES games are coming to Switch Online tomorrow.
This had been rumored for a very long time, and is finally coming to fruition. So 20 games are hitting tomorrow. Some of the ones you'd expect, like Super Mario World, Super Metroid, Super Mario Kart, F-Zero, and some surprises like a Super NES, a previously Japan-only Super NES game in the Earth Defense Force series, Super FX Stunt Racer, which was a Super FX chip racing game on the Super NES. Some really weird choices were made for this thing, but if it works anything like the NES one, this is not the end of it. There'll be more probably added every once in a while.
Okay, how many of these games are on the SNES Classic that
So
they released?
there is a lot of crossover here, but the couple of weird ones I just said are not on the SNES Mini.
Yeah, okay.
So it's not a one-to-one comparison. Games that are on the Mini that aren't on this, for example, include Earthbound and Final Fantasy VI. So you're not going to get everything, but it is a pretty solid lineup.
Okay, sounds good.
Also, Yoshi's Island, which I'm really excited.
Woo! Also, they announced Xenoblade Chronicles: Definitive Edition,
Yes.
coming next year, 2020.
This is a definitive edition of the Wii Xenoblade Chronicles game,
Yes.
not the Wii U sequel, Xenoblade Chronicles X. No word on whether that will be getting a Switch release.
We also have Luigi's Mansion 3
Yes.
will have one controller multiplayer mode. How do you have multiplayer on one controller?
I don't really know. I didn't watch the direct.
Oh, okay.
I literally compiled this from an article.
Oh, okay, because it was live in 30 minutes.
It was live when I was at work,
Yes.
so I could not watch it.
Oh, you could have watched it if you know your way around
Do
stuff.
not. I mean, I had to use my data, and I did not want to do that.
That's not what I was referring to, but okay.
Anyway.
Free-to-play Super Kirby Clash, available now.
Yeah, it's apparently a multiplayer or single-player boss rush Kirby game, which I will not touch because apparently it's full of microtransactions.
Woo!
That's why it's
I
free
mean,
to play.
boo! We also have Trials of Mana coming on April 24th of next year.
That was the game that was released or announced at E3. That was a U.S. translation of a game that never came out here.
Right.
So yeah,
We also have Return of the Obra Dinn coming this fall.
that was a beloved PC indie hit from last year.
Speaking of beloved studios, Game Freak
Yeah,
is
Pokemon Zone.
Yes, is releasing Little Town Hero coming October 16th.
This is the game that was announced as Town 2 E3s ago.
Right.
Finally, we learned more about it, and yeah, it got released.
I watched this and it looks interesting. I kind of dug it. It's
Yeah,
a little bit
Town
like
seems cool.
Yeah, a little bit like an action RPG, action adventure game
Yeah.
of what am I thinking of the Animal Crossing.
Yeah, kind of. It got a little bit of an Animal Crossing vibe
Yeah.
from it. For sure.
Also, Banjo-Kazooie, the fourth
Yes.
Switch Fighter, the fourth
Smash
fighter,
Ultimate
Smash
Fighter,
Ultimate
yes.
Fighter.
DLC fighter. Surprise releases today.
Yes, we knew it was a thing. We knew it was coming. We didn't know when.
They said fall,
They said now.
but this is technically not even fall yet, and we're already getting it. So,
I don't know. September?
Yeah.
They're kind of cheating there.
But yeah, so yeah, if you want to download, if you've already paid for the season pass, you can download Banjo-Kazooie today. If not, you can buy them separately. But yeah, or them, I guess I should say, separately. But yeah, they're available today.
But that's not all. As the internet was ablaze yesterday when an SNK logo appeared
Yes.
on Nintendo's website and everyone started freaking out who it could be. Well, Fatal Fury's Terry Bogard
Yes.
is coming to Smash.
Another fighting game character. So you know that what that means is that they're gonna do really crazy stuff.
Yep. Also, with Smash, Home Run Contest will be returning. I didn't know this was gone. This was
Yeah.
one of my favorite ones that I
Home
liked.
Run Contest
on
was a
the
really fun
3DS.
thing in the previous games.
Yeah.
Basically, hit the
It's
Mr.
pretty-
Sandbag as hard as you can with the home run bat and see how far he could fly.
Well, you're supposed to weaken them first with
Yes.
the timer, and then you smack them.
So yeah, a popular mode that was not in Ultimate originally, now is.
Hey, also, the new paid costumes are coming to Smash.
Paid as in like 75 cents a pop.
Yeah, these are costumes for your Mii character.
Yeah.
They include Sans from Undertale
Yeah.
as one of
Indie
them.
hit Undertale. Yeah.
Also, Proto Man,
Yeah, and Zero
Zero.
from Mega Man as well. Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, this is kind of, I guess, their way to like make the fans happy and like fit in. Like, oh yeah, this character, yeah, we'll give you a costume. He's not important enough to make a character.
We're
out
not
of.
going to give
Right.
Mega Man an Echo Fire, but
Right.
here you go.
Here you go.
If you really want to be Proto Man, you can be Proto Man.
Yeah.
We also that was it for Smash.
Yeah.
Other Nintendo Direct news, Tokyo Mirage Sessions, #FE Encore,
Yes.
coming on January 17th.
This, if you don't know what this is, this was a game that came out for PS4, I want to say 2 years ago. That was no, not PS4, this was a Wii U game? It may have been a Wii U game because it was a crossover between, yeah, it had to be Nintendo because it was a crossover between Fire Emblem and Shin Megami Tensei, the Persona franchise.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know really that much about it because I don't really know anything about either of those series. But if you're a fan of those things, this is a way there were a lot more people to play on it. Play it than on the Wii U.
All right. Let's see. Deadly Premonitions Origins is out today,
Yes.
and its sequel, Deadly Premonitions 2, coming next year.
Origins is just a retitling of the original Deadly Premonition, which was a 360 PS3 game. So it's getting a Switch port, and then yeah, a sequel has been confirmed out of literally nowhere.
Yep. Also, Divinity Original Sin 2, out today.
Yeah.
And
Mostly
Doom,
known as a PC game.
right? And Doom 64. Yes, that Doom 64.
Yeah. What?
Why?
Why?
Why? I don't know.
Why specifically Doom 64?
I don't know, but sure. Coming eventually. There will be an update to Tetris 99 tomorrow.
Yes.
And it looks great because it adds multiplayer.
It adds. Well, I mean, it already had multiplayer, but I know what you mean.
Yes.
Yeah, it's an official 2.0 release, is what they're calling it, and yeah, it's got a lot of cool new modes and stuff to it. So, and it's free to everybody who already has Nintendo Online.
Yep. But they're also going to do a physical copy of Tetris 99
Right.
for those of you who want it.
Yes.
We also have Daemon X Machina
Yes.
Prologue demo out today.
Something else that's a follow up from something that they announced 2 E3s ago.
Right. Let's see. Pokemon Sword and Shield
Yes.
will have an extensive trainer customization options and a Pokemon camp where you can cook curry rice.
Yeah, so the last few generations of Pokemon games have had character customization, although as limited as it has been. This game looks like that will return, as well as shops where you can buy more clothes
Yay.
and accessories. It seems like it's really in-depth where you can even choose colors of things, which is something I wanted in Sun and Moon, and that was severely lacking.
That is something I previously wanted where
Yes.
I have this costume, why can't I just change the color?
It was always like you would only have like 3 or 4 options, and they were always really awful. So this seems like it's a lot more options for clothing, which I'm all for. And then the curry thing, this is also something they've done the last couple of generations, which has been had a signature food of the region. It was malasadas in Sun and Moon. And what were the puff things in X and Y? I forget what they were called.
Puffs.
They had a name. Anyway,
Croquembouche.
they were like a
They're
macaron
French.
equivalent. I don't
Right.
remember what they were called in the game. Anyway, this time it's curry rice, and you can cook all sorts of different kinds and flavors.
Which is
for your
weird
Pokemon.
because it's supposed to be in England.
Well, yeah. English cuisine has been very influenced by Indian cuisine.
I know, but I was
because of
expecting some bangers and
empirical
mash.
connection. So yeah, if you ask people from the UK, it's actually very like curry is extremely popular.
I know, I was expecting some bangers and mash, some fish and chips.
No.
Some, yeah.
You'd be surprised how popular spicy food is because
I am surprised.
because there's that reputation that British food is super bland.
Yes.
So no, it's the reality is that there's actually a very strong component of Indian cuisine.
Okay, I am surprised.
Anyway,
Anyways, we also have other news. Other Nintendo Direct news. We're still in Nintendo Direct here.
still Nintendo Direct.
We have Star Wars Jedi Knight 2 Jedi Outcast
because
coming.
who the hell knows who's making these decisions? All these old games.
All these old games
made.
need to come on the Switch because someone asked for it sometime.
Yeah.
We also have Assassin's Creed the Rebel Collection, which is both Black Flag and Rogue,
Yes.
which was released 7 years ago.
Those are old games, yes. Black Flag, notably, was a PS4 launch game.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was like a PS3.
It was a crossover. It was released for both.
Well, no, I think Rogue was the PS3.
Oh, yeah,
and
you're right.
Black
Rogue
Flag was
the
the
PS3,
PS4.
Black Flag was the 3. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, that's how old that is.
That's
and now
how old
that
that game is.
now that the PS4 is nearing the end of its initial life cycle, well,
Yeah.
not the end, but there's already rumors of the PS5. So, and lastly, Devil May Cry 2. Speaking of old games, why are they coming out now?
Yeah, I don't really.
All right, but yeah, that's happening. And that was the direct.
That was the direct.
Anything surprising you there? Besides all these old ass games making its way
Honestly,
to the Switch?
Less surprises and more just like hell yes
Yeah,
came
okay.
out of this thing. I am like super happy with everything they showed. I'm looking forward to playing some Super NES games in my bed.
Mhm.
I'm looking forward to. The changes that are coming to Tetris. I'm looking forward to the customization options of Pokemon. This is just further proof that, man, they're kicking ass with the Switch. Like, the Switch is a real must-have. Like, 2019 just keep proving that over and over and over again. There is something for everybody on the system.
Yeah, no.
As someone who is a prospective
this is
Switch
making
buyer,
me wanting
is
to
this
buy the
selling you more?
Switch.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I bet.
No, like I already know I'm getting the Switch, but this is making me more excited. Like, oh my god, there's all these other games I can play as well.
Yeah. And old games that people may have missed on Wii U are getting a second life here, which is great.
Mhm.
Except no second life though.
No
second
second-
life is not coming to Switch anytime soon.
I don't think so.
Anyway.
Anyways, we have the bits, and there's just one
Do
thing.
you have any bits?
I have one piece of bit.
Okay, you have a bit.
I have a bit.
One
I may
single
have
solitary
two.
bit.
Oh no, I have 2 bits.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Shaven a haircut.
Yes. Wow. Okay. My first one is that the for those of you who have PlayStation Plus,
Do I?
free games are this month.
Uh-huh.
Well, technically yesterday, but yeah, free games.
Okay.
Arkham Knight,
It's-
the threequel to the Arkham
It's already
series.
on Game Pass.
Yeah, so what? It's free now. Plus, I already played it and I already beat it. But
Okay.
yeah, Arkham Knight is one of the free games this month.
And
And shit, I forgot what it was. I didn't write it down.
great, awesome.
But no, it was like another like really old AAA game. But
Okay.
yeah, free games on the PlayStation Plus.
Yep.
But the other piece of bits news, my second piece of bit news, is we have confirmation that Cyberpunk 2077 will have multiplayer, and everyone loved it,
Yeah.
or at least they will love it when it happens. But yeah, that was news that happened.
That was news.
That was news.
And that's video games.
That's video games.
Wait, we played a video game of sorts.
We did play a video game. Well, is it a video? Well, technically it's a video
It's a
game.
mobile game.
It's a mobile
Yeah, we played a
game.
mobile game, but we both played a mobile game. I know, this is rare and shocking.
No. The Studio Rare is rare and shocking.
Oh, I thought you were going to say no, Pikachu is shocking. Because
Pikachu is shocking.
we played Pokemon
That was a
Masters.
better one. Damn it. I
Yeah,
missed
it was
that
a
up.
better
I
one.
messed
You
that
it,
up.
totally.
Oh, totally screwed
Door
that.
wide open, slammed in
Ugh.
front of your face. Yes, Pokemon Masters, the new Pokemon mobile game. Don't start thinking that this is Pokemon Go. This is not. This is a
Single player.
Single player. Well, I guess there's a co-op element that I've not tried.
Well, I don't know how to get that to work.
How do
Oh,
I get that work?
well,
Maybe we'll check that out.
We'll check that out.
But yeah, it is a mobile game that is designed in kind of the way of like the real popular like mobile games that you play,
Yes.
but with Pokemon spin on it and characters from all the previous canon Pokemon games. So you work basically in teams of 3. It's a
Yes.
3-on-3 battle system, and instead of turn-based, the battles are done
timed base.
kind of like the Final Fantasy active time battle system.
Yeah.
So your meter is constantly filling up, and you can use portions of meter to attack the enemy. Meanwhile, your enemy is also metered and is attacking you when they get the chance. This is all leading up to, and you get different attacks cost different amounts of meter. Some you have to wait for cooldowns, and then there's a mega sync attack that you can perform once a certain amount of turns have passed. That's basically the bare bones explanation of Pokemon Masters. I mean, you're more familiar with this game. Is it kind of similar to a mobile game of that type?
So I think the mobile game you're kind of thinking this of is with the recent Marvel Strike Force is
Okay.
what you're kind of thinking
Yeah.
this is. It is, but it isn't.
Okay.
So yes, you are. This is a team building mobile game where you build your team, where you you level up your characters and you make sure that they're both, all as hard as they can in order to complete the challenges.
Yeah.
But like I said, it is time based. Whereas if you sit there and don't do anything, you will lose every single time. It's not something where it's turn based, where it's like, okay, I could do this, but I could do that, and it's like, no, you have to do
some
it.
time
You
to
have
figure
time.
out strategy. Like, you do have some time, and there are indicators telling you about weaknesses. So you have a preparation where you can like set up your team of Pokemon to counter the Pokemon you're going to encounter. But everything, because it's happening in real time, you have to make sure that you do it and you target the correct Pokemon before you fire.
Mm-hmm.
It's reverse, though, traditional Pokemon, though. And that's what threw me off the first few battles. Because in this game, you have to select the target and then select your move. Whereas
It will auto target, but yes.
classically, Pokemon, though, in 2v2 and 3v3 battles, you have to actively select after you choose the attack. So I
Yes.
kept finding myself in Pokemon mode, selecting an attack,
And then
and then
try-
realizing, oh shoot, that's not the guy with the weakness.
Yes.
And then changing it after, which would only affect the attack after I execute the first one. So there's a learning curve, especially if you're like me and more familiar with Pokemon than you are with mobile games.
Yeah.
But did you kind of have an easier time kind of
I kind of had an easier time. I understood it off
Yeah.
the bat. But it's just... It definitely is different because it's not a traditional Pokemon game, so it will throw you for a loop there.
Yeah.
However, playing this game is not because you're playing for a traditional Pokemon game. You're kind of playing this for the love of Pokemon.
That's at least what I am, yeah. So,
Yeah.
And there's a lot of that in here. Like, if you're not quite into that stuff, yeah, there's enough Pokemon fan service in here to make most fans happy. You've got literally every character you can team up with is from a game. And this ranges from the protagonists of the game, like your player characters, like the player character from Black and White 2 joins you in one of the first missions. Brock and Misty, gym leaders from the first generation and from the TV show, join your team immediately as the game starts. And there'll be other gym leaders and champions and Elite Four members and professors that you'll see along the way.
Right. Not only that, but you'll run into different side characters within like the main station
Yeah.
that they themselves will say something that is a reference to a previous Pokemon game.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff packed in here that references previous things. It definitely rewards people with a knowledge of Pokemon locations.
Mhm.
It says there's constant references to, oh, yeah, I went to Sinnoh and I got this, and after I was done being in Unova. Like, if you don't know where those places are, none of that will make sense for you. But if you're somebody who is like knowledgeable about Pokemon lore, then it's perfect for you. So that's what I really loved about it. There's even like missions that you go on that are like story side missions
Mhm.
that don't have any combat at all and are literally just so you can have like a cute little scene of dialogue with one of your new friends.
Right, you can have a conversation with them, you get a little
Yeah.
side backstory.
Which
but-
honestly, all that made me wish that there was a game that was just that, like a Pokemon dating sim. But alas, that will never be a thing and it will never happen.
No. But I do really enjoy that aspect of it, though.
Yeah.
It gives it a different flavor of the
Yeah.
Pokemon universe.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what this game needed to stand out.
It also looks pretty good for a mobile game. Like, it's got a cel-shaded kind of thing. And it's the first time you're seeing a lot of these characters in 3D.
Oh, yeah.
Because a lot of these characters
I've been 2D sprites.
harken back from the 2D era of Pokemon.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's really, really cool to see, like, Gym Leader Whitney from Gold and Silver in 3D, for
Mhm.
example. Or Lorelei, or Elite Four member. Or, like, yeah. It's a real cool thing that they've done here. Yes, it is microtransaction heavy. The game even warns you on its very first screen, basically,
Mhm.
like, be responsible with
Yeah.
microtransactions, to the point where there's even a thing that you can toggle on and off
About
that
how
will
much you spend.
warn you if you overspend. like spend more than what you've previously like deemed responsible.
I wonder if they had to put that in the game in order for that to be
It's
worldwide.
gonna be a legal thing, yeah. So yeah, it's like it's definitely you could put a lot of real world money into this game if you wanted. You can pay for gems, which is the currency to buy things, and those gems can be used to say buy new sync pairs, which can be the new characters from the old games and stuff. Even though you do glean those regularly from participating in the story.
Yes, there is also no guarantee you will always get new
Right.
new syncs. It warns you of that.
Yeah. So basically, buyer beware, I guess we're telling you, is that this is definitely a free-to-play game with all the free-to-play trappings.
Yes,
You can play this for free, as I have managed so far,
I am doing that as well.
but it's probably going to get to a point where it's going to incentivize you to spend money on this. So,
And that point is currently happening right now.
Uh-oh.
As currently going on in Pokemon Masters, it is event time.
Yes.
Where there is a current event going on where if you complete certain challenges, you can add Blue. Yes,
Blue.
that Blue with his Pidgeot to your
Yes.
team.
Or Gary, if you will. But blue in the game.
in the games.
Same,
They're
same
blue.
character, really, though.
Yeah,
Let's
they're
be
blue.
honest.
Yes. But yeah, you can add Blue to your team. You can either pay to just have them on your team,
Yeah.
or you can go through the challenges and
Get him
get
normal.
them that way.
So yeah,
It may take you a while, but the good thing about this event is it lasts all month. So if you play every single day, you can eventually get him. But if you're impatient and you want him now, yeah, you're gonna pay.
So yeah, it's what you think it is. It's a mobile Pokemon game, but at least it's got more Pokemon going on in it, where it actually feels like it's a good like fit into the series as
Yeah.
a whole. Because previous mobile Nintendo games have kind of been too much of offshoots to be really feel like the games they're based on. This one does feel like a Pokemon game, but with a lot of mobile caveats.
Right, whereas Pokemon Go was focused solely on the Pokemon, this feels like it's more focused on Pokemon, the
Characters.
universe, and the characters.
Yeah. So yeah, buyer beware on this one. Like, we can't guarantee that it's going to be something everybody's going to jive with because mobile games are very niche.
Right, also,
But-
this is a lot of, like, wink and nods and reading.
Yes, a lot of reading. If you don't like reading dialogue, maybe just bail on this completely because you'll miss half the charm.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to read a lot of cute dialogue with Pokemon characters, then definitely downgrade this. But yeah, I think that's pretty much sums it up.
That's pretty good there. Alright, I think that's pretty good for us as well.
I think so. That
All
will
right.
wrap up video games, which means that will wrap up the Media Boat podcast.
Oh my god, that means we are done here.
Done. So,
All right, plug away.
if you liked what you watched and or heard, you can see us every week live on YouTube at 6 p.m. Pacific time, give or take, maybe 6:30.
6:30-ish.
But yeah, that you can find us on YouTube. Just search YouTube for Media Boat Podcast. Find our page. Like, subscribe, and click the bell, and you'll get notifications when we go live. Isn't that cool?
That is cool.
You can also listen to us in audio form if you don't want to see us. You can find us in podcast form, any podcast catcher of your choices. Just search Media Boat Podcast, any of them, and you'll find us.
Mm-hmm.
You can also find us on social media. On Twitter, we're at Media Boat Cast. On Facebook, we're Media Boat Podcast. Just Google us and you'll find us there, or just search, I guess, in the search bar. You'll
Just
find us
search it.
there. You can also find us on patreon.com/MediaBoat if you want to help us out with money. This does cost money to run a podcast, so please consider donating. Even as little as $1 a month can help us out, so please consider that. You can also find some of the archives of our old writing on MediaBoatPodcast.com. And lastly, if you want to email us questions, comments, advice, anything, MediaBoatPodcast@gmail.com is the email address for that. Please reach out to us and we'll reach out back.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for joining us.
Yep.
Twitch.tv/video games. Wow, I did it again.
Yes.
Twitch.tv/MediaBoat, not video games. I don't know what's there. I should probably look that up at some point.
If it's nothing, we should definitely take it.
Twitch.tv/MediaBoat is where you can find us playing video games such as your ever so continuing Face of the Sanchez mode with Madden 20.
Yes. So, speaking of Facing the Sanchez, I've completed season 2, or not season 2, my second season as Mark Sanchez with the Oakland Raiders.
Yes.
I threw for 69 touchdowns
Nice.
and 7,000 yards in a season, and yet only ended up going 8-8. So I decided that I am no longer going to, have this, throwing for 69 touchdowns and not making the playoffs.
Yeah.
What is that? So I demand to be released from my contract. And boy, was that a terrible idea,
Uh-huh.
as I ended up on the New York Giants.
Oh no.
An arguably worse team. Now, that being
Wow.
said, that does mean I have Saquon Barkley on my team. Arguably the number one running back in the league. However, because I am Mark Sanchez and am playing this as such, where I am a greedy ball hog who does not run the ball,
Yes.
Saquon Barkley will not be
Not
touching
playing.
the ball. Well, no, he'll be playing. He'll be my check down, but he will not be getting any official runs or rushes this season, or the season I'm in. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see if he decides to leave instead of me.
All right. Well,
But yeah, my
tune
goal
in.
is to complete a season, and then immediately demand to be released from that team and see what happens. So we'll see what happens after I'm with the Giants.
We'll certainly see.
But that will be it. Do it for us here at the Media Boat Podcast. Thank you all for tuning in. We will be back next week with our thoughts on It, the movie It Chapter 2.
Yep.
Our thoughts on new TV, our thoughts on new music, and probably our thoughts on some video games as well. Well, either way, we will definitely have more news next week as well. But thank you all for tuning in. Be back next week. Okay, bye.
I have like 5 text messages.
All right.